Now we are moving forward to another topic, ethics and knowledge regarding patient safety and role of professional counsels. Despite various patient safety guidelines and standards, less attention is paid to the ethical and legal aspects of this issue. Patient safety is closely related to the concept of human dignity, and all the patient safety measures taken must ensure the protection of humans' dignity. Strategic leadership and collaboration across the professional council is vital to ensure all the staff have the right skill, knowledge, values, and behaviors to ensure patient safety. To moderate the panel discussion on this topic, I would like to call upon the stage Dr. Saugat Paudel, who works as the clinical oncologist at National Academy of Medical Sciences, Bir Hospital. Also note that we have the question answer session after panel discussion, so please write your questions in the A4 paper and pass it to the coordinators of hall.
Well, thank you, Srishti. So good morning, everyone. So before presenting the panel discussion, we have a short topic presentation. So first, let me introduce all my panelists here. So first in, I have Professor Dr. Ramesh Prasad Acharya. Sir, please welcome to the stage. He is a MD general practitioner who has done his master's in bioethics. He is a professor, Department of General Practice and Emergency in the Institute of Medicine, Maharajganj. He is currently on deputation to Planning, Coordination and Academic Upgrading Directorate, Medical Education Commission in Sanuthimi. So next in, we have Professor Dr. Mohan Raj Sarma. He is Head of Neurosurgery, IOM. A warm round of applause to Mohan sir. So Mohan sir is a past president, Nepali Society of Neurosurgeon, past chairman, IRB of Institute of Medicine, and founder editor-in-chief of Nepal Journal of Neuroscience. He has numerous publications. So next in, I have Associate Professor Roshni ma'am, Roshni Lakshmi Tweety ma'am. Ma'am, please welcome on the stage. So she's done a master's in nursing, and she's the first director of Nursing and Social Security Division, MOHP. She has numerous published articles as well as books. So last in, I have Dr. Kalu Singh Khatri, who is a maxillofacial surgeon working in civil hospital. Dr. Kalu, please welcome to the stage. So Dr. Kalu is also a member of Nepal Medical Council. Dr. Kalu is quite young, and to be frank, he's not so naive. He's quite a thoughtful person and quite insightful. So we'll begin this discussion by a short topic presentation by Dr. Kalu. Dr. Kalu can take the stage.
Thank you so much, Saugat. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So today, I'll be discussing on a topic, ethics and knowledge, regarding patient safety and role of professional counsels. So regarding this topic, actually, I'll not be sharing details from academic journals or publications. I'll be moreover sharing my experiences and my ideas, which I have gained over my last 4 years of tenure at Nepal Medical Council. So this will be a very short presentation. So now to begin with, ethics and knowledge regarding patient safety. So in general, ethics are not as such legally binding things. They are moreover moral duties of any professionals, as such ethics. But now with evolutions of latest technologies and modernization of majority of professional sectors and industrial sectors, ethics are being legally implicated too. So now the ethical guidelines, the principle of ethics, are not just limited to the moral guidelines to the professionals. In current scenarios, ethical guidelines can be legally implicated. They can be legally binding. That has to be there now. The concepts are evolving and concepts are changing now. Patient safety is one of the prime concerns as well as guiding principle of modern healthcare practice. Patient safety is not just safety concern related to direct healthcare delivery system, but it is the overall safety of the patient in a hospital setup. It should not be just regarding the professionals' conduct over the patients, regarding the procedures or the consultations, whatever being done. That should not be only the safety concerns, but overall, all the system safety concerns. For example, a patient is entering a hospital, a slippery floor is also a measure of concern. that has to be addressed. A building which cannot sustain earthquake, that is also a measure of concern. At present context, if we are talking about patient safety, it should not be just regarding the conduct of professionals, it should be overall the system, the whole healthcare system, how it is protecting the patients, how it is protecting its customers or consumers. That has to be there. The patient safety should incorporate a wide aspect of safety concerns from entry gate of healthcare facility to exit gate. Till the patient is within the healthcare facility, all kind of safety measures. What has to be taken, that has to be considered. So it should be overall hospital safety means patient safety at hospital setup means not just the safety of people, it should be safety of place as well as property of the patients, everything. It should be overall holistic approach. How a healthcare delivery system provides safety during the healthcare delivery of a patient. So now I'll come to the main topic, patient safety and role of professional councils. Professional councils are legally organized entities empowered to regulate various healthcare professionals. Here we need to be very clear over here. Professional councils are supposed to regulate the professionals. They are not supposed to lobby their rights. They are supposed to regulate their conducts. How do they behave in their workplace? That is supposed to be controlled by professional councils. At present, there are 4 professional councils regulating modern medical practices. Nepal Medical Council looks after doctors, whereas Nursing Council looks after nurses. Similarly, we have Pharmacy Council as well as NHPC. NHPC is quite vague, I have to state that. It looks after all other healthcare workers who are not registered with Pharmacy Council or Medical Council or Nursing Council. Whatever is left behind, they are all registered and regulated by Health Professional Council alone. Now, professional councils are empowered by the law and are bestowed with the responsibility of ensuring highest level of ethical practice among its registered practitioners. So this concept has to be very clear among us professionals, because this is always a confusing thing. Majority of professionals, we think that the councils are supposed to lobby their rights, councils are supposed to fight for them. In principle, councils were formed and envisioned to be the police. They are the policing institute which are supposed to look after their practicing behavior, not to lobby for their rights. So now patient safety and role of professional councils. Professional councils have issued code of ethics for its registered practitioners. If we see, all of the 4 councils, they have issued certain code of ethics, certain guidelines. And moreover, while talking professional councils, I'll be more focused on Nepal Medical Council because I was over there. So I have experience regarding medical councils only. I don't have experience regarding other councils, what they have been doing. But I'll just give us overview. Nepal Medical Council has been publishing various clinical guidelines to its practitioner since COVID pandemic started in 2019. This was a very positive step we have taken since 2019. Before 2019, if you see, Nepal Medical Council had never issued any kind of clinical guidelines. This was for the first time in 2019. After COVID pandemic, we had to sit, then we planned with our professional colleagues that there should be some guidelines. Now, council should come out with guidelines. There are almost 19 published guidelines, and we are now updating our guidelines, and we are going for newer guidelines also regarding clinical setups, clinical practice. Nepal Medical Council is planning to continue publication of clinical guidelines, and the guidelines published are given the website from where we can access the guidelines. So there are certain guidelines we have already published, like for example, interim clinical guidance for case of patients with COVID-19 in healthcare settings, COVID notices to healthcare workers, COVID notice to healthcare workers, that was in English and Nepali. Similarly, we had done like specific COVID guidelines for specific professionals, like for ENT surgeons, we had issued a separate clinical guidelines. For dental surgeons, we had issued a separate clinical guidelines, how to conduct their clinical practice, how to run their clinics during COVID pandemic. Those things were done. Patient safety and role of professional councils, areas for improvement. Professional council need to update code of ethics on regular basis. This has to be done. If we see the council, Nepal Medical Council, it updated its code of ethics almost after 12 years in 2017. So as we are very aware, the healthcare practice system is getting upgraded every day. We are seeing newer technologies, newer ideas every day. But our updates are coming very lately. So this has to be updated on regular basis. These are the things which have to be done by the councils. Regular updates and changes in practicing guidelines should be issued and disseminated by the councils. not only regular updates on practicing guidelines, there should be disseminations about change in the legal practices also. As I was in council in last 4 years, I would like to share some experiences. Some of our professional colleagues were not even aware that they cannot declare the sex of fetus. They were not known that, they were thinking that it's just an ethical binding issue, it's a moral issue, but actually it's a legal issue. If you are found declaring the sex of fetus, you could be legally jailed. You can be legally penalized. It's not just ethical binding of council. So there are certain things, change in legal issue, status, those are the things which are to be regularly updated to the practitioners by the council. Professional councils can collaborate with various stakeholders and arrange refresher trainings for its practitioners. This is something which has to be done by the professional council on a regular basis. In those 4 years, whatever ethical issues I have seen in council, majority of cases were because of communication errors. How the physician, the practicing clinician, communicated to the patient. That was the biggest issue among the patients, whoever I have met them. So these things are to be refreshed to our senior colleagues as well as our young graduates. Certain things are to be regularly updated and refreshed to them, how the clinical practice should go ahead. The concept of continuing professional development has well evolved among European and American countries, and it's gradually evolving among us also. This is something which has to be pushed by each of the professional councils, continuing professional developments, because we need the latest updates, we need the latest knowledge of rules and regulations. These things are to be done. Councils can conduct regular planned and unplanned audits of healthcare facilities to ensure practice as per ethical guidelines issued by them. This is something which has to be done, but not being done yet. We haven't done it anywhere, but this is something to be done because. So now Nepal Medical Council and CPD. Nepal Medical Council, sorry, I have exceeded the time. So okay, Nepal Medical Council has been pushing for CPD development in the last few years. Nepal Medical Council has developed 6 compulsory modules of CPD training, which it aims to provide free of cost to its practitioners. CPD modules developed by Nepal Medical Council are largely focused on standardization of medical practice with assurance of better patient care. Here, the CPD modules were conceptualized to standardize the care, which will ultimately benefit to the patients, will definitely increase the level of safety of the patients. The proposed council law amendment has incorporated CPD as essential component of licensure renewal in future too. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, Dr. Kalu. So, my look at this stage here. I mean, we have years of experience sitting on this stage. We have Ramesh here, who has worked for decades in bioethics. So we have Roshni ma'am here, one of our astute academician in the nursing sector. She's been a part of nursing council as well. We have Mohan sir, an astute clinician and heading the neurosurgery department. So I think by the end of this session, we here, me, including you all, will be taking quite a lot from them from this stage. So to begin with, so this is the question, that's the basic ground that makes up for ethics. So Ramesh, let me begin with you. So can you explain or can you clarify this thing? What is medical error? Since this is quite a controversial thing, I think there has been many controversies regarding its exact definition over the years. So the audiences need to understand it properly.
Thank you, Dr. Paudel. हुन त बिहानदेखि नै धेरै इररको बारेमा धेरै छलफल भइसक्यो, धेरै क्लियरिफाई पनि भयो होला जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई। र यसमा सबभन्दा छोटो मिठो चाहिँ इन्स्टिट्युट अफ मेडिसिनको डेफिनिसन छ, आइओएम जुन युएसए को। यसमा चाहिँ फेलियर मेडिकल एररमा जस्ट कोट गर्न चाहन्छु यहाँ। Failure of a planned action to be completed as intended, or the use of a wrong plan to achieve the aim. So दुईटै कम्पोनेन्ट छ यसमा। प्लानिङको कम्पोनेन्टमा पनि एरर हुन सक्छ, एक्जिक्युसनको पाटोमा पनि एरर हुन सक्छ। र त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी मेडिकल एरर को रूपमा लिन्छौँ। अब यसैमा अलिकति कहिलेकाहीँ ग्रे एरिया रहने चाहिँ मेडिकल माल प्र्याक्टिस र एररको कम्पोनेन्ट छ। माल प्र्याक्टिस चाहिँ एगेन फेरि पेसेन्टको यो प्रोफेसनल ड्युटी गर्न सक्यो कि सकेन, हामीले प्रोफेसनल ड्युटीमा कतै ब्रिच भयो कि भएन, द्याट मेक्स मेडिकल माल प्र्याक्टिस। तर एरर चाहिँ हामीले जुन किसिमले ट्रिटमेन्ट गर्नलाई प्लान गरेथ्यौँ त्यो प्लान गर्ने तरिकादेखि लिएर एक्जिक्युसनको तरिकामा भएको गल्तीलाई चाहिँ हामी एररको रूपमा लिन्छौँ।
ओके सो
तर अल्टिमेटली दुवैले फेरि अलिकति थपिहालौँ, अल्टिमेटली दुवैले फेरि ड्यामेज के गर्यो, हार्म के गर्यो त्यो अर्को पार्ट होस्। फेरि अल्टिमेट आउटकमको हिसाबले हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ फेरि हामीले त्यो कम्पोनेन्टमा हेर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ।
So I think the basic thing Ramesh sir le bhane answer, as we can see in the slides, we looked up all through the literatures and we've come to a common understanding of medical error. I mean, they can be an adverse event or they can't be an adverse event. It's not necessary that an adverse event has to happen in such scenarios. So sir has clearly explained about what the differences between the medical error as well as malpractice. So let me move forward since we are quite tight with our time. So there are two vignettes here. Let's look at these vignettes. So one of the vignettes says a patient who is scheduled for an amputation of the right leg has a left leg removed. So the other vignette here is a patient discharged from the hospital after myocardial infarction without having a beta blocker. So my question, I'd like to begin this question with Mohan sir here. So Mohan sir, is there a difference between them, between these two vignettes?
Thank you, Dr. Saugat, and I thank the organizer for the opportunity, this excellent conference. यसमा चाहिँ अलिकति यो सेन्सेस यो दुईटामा फरक छ। एउटा चाहिँ प्लेन एक्सिडेन्ट भएर 12 जना मर्नु र एउटा गाडी भएर 100 जना मर्नुमा प्लेन एक्सिडेन्टले बढी अटेन्सन पाउँछ। दो वी लुज मोर देन 100 पिपल इन कार अर बस, यो दुईटाको डिफरेन्स त्यही नै हो। एम्पुटेसन भएर मान्छे मरेको छैन, तर चाहिँ इट गेट्स मोर सेन्सेसनलाइज। मिडियाले यो पायो भने एकदमै त्यो त इज लिटरली डेड द्याट द पर्सन हु अपरेट्स अन द्याट पेसेन्ट। अर्को मायोकार्डियल इन्फार्क्सनको पेसेन्टलाई बिटा ब्लकर दिएन भने इभन चाहिँ द्याट विल लिड टु डेथ, तर त्यसले चाहिँ त्यति अटेन्सन पाउँदैन। त्यही हिसाबले यसको डिफरेन्स के छ भने फर्स्ट चाहिँ एकदमै सेन्सेसनल हुन्छ, दो इट डजन्ट लिड टु मोर्टालिटी। तर सेकेन्ड चाहिँ यो साइलेन्ट एपिडेमिक जस्तो हुन्छ, दो इट लिड्स टु मोर्टालिटी बट इट इज नट पर्सिभ्ड एज द्याट डेन्जरस बिकज इट डजन्ट ह्यापन विदिन अ सर्ट पिरियड। यसको बेसिक डिफरेन्स चाहिँ यही नै हो।
Okay, so thank you, sir. So here it's quite an apparent paradox here. One side we have quite a shocking thing. I mean, a sensational thing that comes in the media that gets sensationalized for a wrong amputation. But on the other end, if you see the MI patient sent home without being prescribed a beta blocker, so the patient may die, but the gravity of the second situation is more. So that's one thing that we clearly need to understand when it comes to our morality and our ethics. Other thing, Roshni ma'am, I'd like to come to you. In the first vignette here, like a wrong amputation has been done. So the thing here is, of course, we talk about surgical checklist. We're talking about all the things on the surgical checklist. I mean, surgical checklist could have prevented this error. So how do your nursing professional council react to this error?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Saugat. यो दुईटा सिनेरियोमा मैले फर्स्ट सिनेरियोमा अलिकति बढी हाइलाइट गर्न चाहेँ। यो फर्स्ट सिनेरियो जस्तै कन्डिसन नेपालमा धेरै घटनाहरू भइरहेको छ। टु प्रिभेन्ट such type of scenario, our main target is by proper implementation of the surgical safety checklist, जुन हामी सबैलाई थाहा भएको। सर्जिकल सेफ्टी चेकलिस्टमा हाम्रो बिफोर सर्जरी हाम्रो के अरे प्री अपरेटिभ चेकलिस्ट, अर्को चाहिँ क्लाइन्ट्स र अब पेसेन्ट पार्टीलाई चाहिँ त्यो प्रोसिडरको बारेमा डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेसन दिएर इन्फर्म रिटर्न कन्सेन्ट जुन हामीले अहिले गरिरहेको छौँ, तर कसरी गरिरहेको छौँ ल यसमा सही गर्नुहोस् भने हुन्छ कि तर त्यहाँभित्र के लेखिएको छ, त्यो प्रोसिडर के हो, त्यो प्रोसिडरको एडभान्टेजेस के हो, त्यो प्रोसिडर गरेन भने के हार्म हुन सक्छ भन्ने कुरा हामी क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन गर्दैनौँ र कति कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ त्यो प्रोसिडरको बारेमा हामीले विथ फिगर पनि एक्सप्लेन गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। सो द्याट मस्ट बी इन्स्टिट्युटेड टु प्रिभेन्ट द फर्स्ट सिनेरियो, जुन चाहिँ हाम्रो सर्जिकल सेफ्टी एप्लिकेसनको प्रि अपरेटिभमा हुने हो भने। अर्को ड्युरिङ अपरेटिभमा पनि हाम्रो क्रिटिकल इभेन्ट्सहरूलाई चाहिँ असेस गर्ने, त्यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो स्कब नर्स, सर्जन र एनेस्थेटिकको 3 जनाको रोल हुन्छ भने पोस्ट एनेस्थेसियामा पनि हाम्रो अल्डर स्कोरिङ असेस गरिसकेपछि मात्र उहाँलाई चाहिँ अब के अरे पाकुमा लाने कि अथवा पोस्टअपमा लाने हुनुपर्छ। त्यहाँ चाहिँ मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेन्ट इज द इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन अफ द सर्जिकल सेफ्टी चेकलिस्ट। आई थिङ्क मोस्ट अफ द हस्पिटलमा इम्प्लिमेन्ट भइरहेको छ, तर अनफर्चुनेटली धेरैवटा हस्पिटलमा छैन। यसमा म एउटा दिन्छु, 2.5 इयर्स अगाडि हामी नर्सिङ तथा सोसियल सेक्युरिटी डिभिजन म अलिकति जोड्न चाहेँ। अहिले म नाम्समा आबद्ध भए पनि म 4 वर्ष चाहिँ म स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालय र स्वास्थ्य सेवा विभागमा काम गरेको थिएँ, जुन पोलिसी मेकिङमा पनि भएको भएर हामीले 2.5 वर्ष अगाडि एउटा ठुलो हस्पिटलमा क्लिनिकल अडिट गरेको थियौँ। यसमा 4वटा एरियामा, एउटा सर्जिकल सेफ्टी चेकलिस्टमा, एउटा इन्फेक्सन प्रिभेन्सन एन्ड कन्ट्रोल, अर्को हेल्थ केयर वेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट र अर्को चाहिँ क्लाइन्ट सेटिस्फ्याक्सनमा। अनफर्चुनेटली त्यसको के आएको थियो भन्दाखेरि इन्फर्म कन्सेन्ट लिन्छ 58%मा, तर पेसेन्टको एस्पेक्टमा सोद्धाखेरि ओन्ली द 12% नो वाट द प्रोसिडर इज गोइङ अन विथ हिम अर हर एन्ड वाट आर द एडभान्टेज एन्ड वाट आर द रिस्क अकर्ड बाई दिस प्रोसिडर। र अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रो अल्डर स्कोरिङको हेर्दाखेरि उति बेला एनेस्थेसियोलोजिस्टले भन्छ म्याम हाम्रो त आँखा बल्ल खुल्यो, हामीले कहिले पनि त्यो अल्डर स्कोरिङ हेरेर उहाँलाई चाहिँ के अरे ऊबाट रिकभरी युनिटबाट चाहिँ पोस्ट अपरेटिभ र वार्डमा चाहिँ सारेको छैनौँ। यसले त हामीले आफूलाई सेफ्टी गर्ने हुन्छ। एउटा यस सेफ्टीको अस्तिमा मैले भने कि यसलाई क्लाइन्ट सेफ्टीसँग रिलेटेड चाहिँ हाम्रो यो हेल्थ वर्कर सेफ्टी पनि हो। त्यस कारण चाहिँ यो एउटा चाहिँ सर्जिकल सेफ्टी चाहिँ मस्ट नै हो, इन्क्लुडिङ हाम्रो के अरे रिटर्न इन्फर्म कन्सेन्ट।
Okay, ma'am, let me dig in deeper. Ma'am, if there is a failure of surgical safety checklist maintained, failure if the cases have already happened and adverse event has happened, and the case has been registered in your council, then how does the council decide on what kind of punishment the
council is a
person
regulatory
gets?
body है। यो चाहिँ अघि कानुन हो नि, यो चाहिँ राइटको लागि बोल्ने होइन, इट्स अ रेगुलेटरी बडी र रेगुलेटरी बडी स्पिक फर द क्लाइन्ट्स अर पेसेन्ट। यदि कुनै यस्तो केसहरू चाहिँ काउन्सिलमा फाइल भयो भने, हुन त म अहिले काउन्सिलको मेम्बर होइन, तर मैले बुझेको अनुसार काउन्सिलमा कुनै यसरी फाइल भयो भने चाहिँ उहाँ त्यहाँबाट एउटा चाहिँ टिम बन्छ, टिम चाहिँ स्टेक होल्डर रिलेटेड टिम बनेर त्यहाँ सम्बन्धित ठाउँमा गएर एक्ज्याक्ट के अरे हाम्रो चाहिँ असेसमेन्ट गर्छ। त्यो एक्ज्याक्ट असेसमेन्टमा चाहिँ के भन्दाखेरि धेरैवटा केसहरू यसो गरेको छ, र अनफर्चुनेटली कति ठाउँमा चाहिँ कम्प्लिट रिपोर्टिङ नभएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि समस्या आएको छ। जस्तो कि एउटा अहिले रिसेन्टली पनि एउटा घटना भएको थियो, त्यसमा पनि किनकि हाम्रो हेल्थ सर्भिसेस जुन चाहिँ टिम वर्क हो कि टिम वर्कभित्र चाहिँ एक आपसमा इन्टर प्रोफेसनल कोअर्डिनेसन चाहिने हुन्छ, र त्यो टिम वर्क गर्दै जाँदाखेरि त्यहाँभित्रको सबै जुन हाम्रो प्रोटोकल अनुसार गर्ने कामहरूमा चाहिँ रिपोर्टिङ नहुँदाखेरि चाहिँ समस्या आउँछ। तर यदि यस्तो केसहरू फाइल भयो भने चाहिँ काउन्सिलले चाहिँ उहाँहरूको चाहिँ त्यहाँ सबै इन्भेस्टिगेट गरेर यदि सम्बन्धित हेल्थ वर्करको चाहिँ नेग्लिजेन्सी देखिएको छ, एरर देखिएको छ भने ही अर सी विल बी पनिस्ड।
इन्ट्रेस्टिङ पोइन्ट डक्टर कालु म्यामले एउटा पोइन्ट भन्नुभयो डकुमेन्टेसन। यो डकुमेन्टेसनले कसरी हेल्प गर्छ पनिसमेन्टमा? केही suppose your first minute where a wrong amputation has been done, so how does documentation helps to the concerned doctor or physician or the health provider?
Okay.
Can you elaborate on that?
Thank you so much, Swagat Daju. Actually, documentation is very essential. Whenever we get a complaint regarding any ethical violence, the first thing what we do is that we collect the documents. We clearly write to the institution, whichever has been implicated, you write to them that without any change in the document, whatever you have stored in your patient record system, get us a verified copy immediately to us. And based upon that document, we study and we calculate how much is the deviation from the standard practice. While reviewing the documents, we do see that how was the circumstances, how was the situation over there during that procedure, and based upon that, how are the documents prepared, and is there any deviation from the standard practice or not? And depending upon that, the investigation goes ahead. If the document clearly shows that there is the deviation in the standard practice, definitely there will be a more rigorous investigation.
Fair enough, Dr. Kalu. We'll move forward. I mean, documentation seems to be very important here. So moving forward, yes, of course, the first vignette is more shocking than the second, but the second is more likely to cause death. So it's an apparent paradox everyone should be aware of. So let's see a case here. It's an interesting case. She is a she's a 40 years lady diagnosed metastatic spindle cell neoplasm of the right lung with bilateral lung effusion. She has a chest tube inserted in her right side and a pigtail on her left side. She is requiring supplemental oxygen at 10 liters per minute. Her right chest is draining well, but there is absence of drainage in the left side for the last 2 days. The X-ray, let's see the X-ray. It shows that the tube has been kinked here on the left side, so there is no drainage there. So in the rounds, it was decided upon for radiology review for manipulation of the tube. However, due to some reason, the tube could be manipulated only after 4 days. While all these days, the patient was in distress. After manipulation, there was a huge respite to the patient, and she was maintaining a saturation at room air. So this is after manipulation, the X-ray. Before moving to Mohan sir, I mean, I'll just get to Ramesh sir here. Ramesh sir, यो हजुरको आफ्नै चिन्जानको बिरामी भइदिएको भए हजुरलाई यो एक्सेप्टेबल हुन्थ्यो यो सिचुएसन? I just need an answer of conscience, yes or no?
डेफिनेटली पेसेन्ट पार्टीको हिसाबले एक्सेप्टेबल
फेरि
हुन्थ्यो भन्न त डेफिनेटली सकिएन होइन ठिक छ
So the patient is in distress for an avoidable reason for the last 6 days.
होइन डेफिनेटली सकिएन त्यति गर्दा हुने रहेछ भनेर तर हाम्रो अब पेसेन्ट पार्टीको पर्सपेक्टिभबाट मात्रै भन्दा त
Exactly. So Mohan sir, like in
Acceptable
this
होने कुरै
scenario, the incident has occurred in your working place. So how would you approach this thing?
यो चाहिँ कमनै प्रब्लम जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई सबै र यो हुने कारण चाहिँ जति मल्टिपल लेयर अफ म्यान पावर काममा हुन्छ नि यो हुने चान्स चाहिँ बढी हुन्छ उसले द सिट फिट्स द डाउन हिल भन्ने एक्सप्रेसन छ कन्सल्टेन्टले त्यसपछि लेक्चररलाई त्यसले चाहिँ सिनियर रेजिडेन्टलाई जुनियर रेजिडेन्टले इन्टर्नले जुनियर इन्टर्नलाई त्यसरी जब मल्टिपल लेयर हुन्छ यो हुने चान्स हुन्छ यसमा चाहिँ मेन चाहिँ ह्यान्डओभर टेकओभरको कुरा स्ट्रङ हुनुपर्छ र चाहिँ अगेन यो डकुमेन्टेसनकै आउँछ हु गेभ द डिसिजन टु म्यानिपुलेट द ट्युब एन्ड हु रेकर्डेड द्याट एन्ड इफ इट डिड नट ह्यापन वाट वर द रिजन द्याट डिड नट ह्यापन त्यो चाहिँ डकुमेन्ट गरेर फलोअप गर्ने गऱ्यो भने यसलाई हामीले 99% चाहिँ कन्ट्रोल गर्न सक्छौँ इन ए नटसेल
Thank you, sir. Exactly. सरले भने जस्तो we need to dig in deeper and see the root cause. A proper root cause analysis needs to happen in such cases. There may be numerous factors, as sir has explained. There are team factors here, which sir has clearly said, and training educational factors regarding supervision and everything. So moving forward to Roshni ma'am, this is a nursing staffs are the part of the team, and in the rounds we have the doctors, nursing team as well. So for 4 days this wasn't been done, this order wasn't carried out. So what could the nursing team had done to address this issue during those days?
एकदम यो जुन केस भन्नुभयो अहिले रमेश सरले भन्नुभयो यो चाहिँ पेसेन्ट एस्पेक्टबाट यो चाहिँ हामीले एक्सेप्ट गर्न नसकिने हो र जुन चेस्ट ट्युब राखेको पेसेन्टलाई चाहिँ हामी नर्सेसहरूलाई एभ्री 2 आवरले चाहिँ ड्रेन प्रपर छ छैन चेक गर्नु भने हुन्छ र अनि ड्रेनेजको पनि पहिलाको कति छ 2 आवर 4 आवर 6 आवर पछि कति ड्रेन भएको छ चेक गर्नु भनेछ जस्तो कि यो सिनारियोमा लेफ्टबाट ड्रेन भइरहेको छैन भने द नर्सेस मस्ट बी अलर्ट वाइ द ड्रेन देयर इज नो ड्रेनेज कहीँ किङ्केज पो छ कि अब एक्सटर्नली त हामी देखिने हुन्छौँ इन्टरनली छैन भने वाट आर द रेस्पिरेटरी कन्डिसन अफ द्याट पेसेन्ट किन त्यहाँ डिस्ट्रेस भयो भने देयर इज सम प्रब्लम इन द इन्टरनल र इमिडिएटली चाहिँ हाम्रो आफ्नो इन्टर प्रोफेसनल कोलाबोरेसन अनुसार चाहिँ उहाँले खबर गर्नै पर्छ अब यसमा 4 डेजसम्म नहुनु भनेको इट्स अ भेरी ब्याड कन्डिसन किनकि त्यो पेसेन्टमा म आफू बिरामी भयो भने के हुन्थ्यो होला नाउ थिङ्क अबाउट द्याट थिङ बी इम्प्याथेटिक र यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो नेपाल नर्सिङ काउन्सिलले पनि कोड अफ एथिक्स छ र हाम्रो इन्टरनेसनल काउन्सिल फर नर्सेस किनकि हामी आफू पनि आइसिएनको हामी मेम्बर हो इन्टरनेसनल काउन्सिल फर नर्सेसले पनि हाम्रो 20 कोड अफ एथिक्स बनाएको छ जुन रेगुलरली रिभ्यू भइरहेको छ त्यसमध्ये अहिले 2021 को रिभ्यूमा के भन्दाखेरि नर्स एन्ड पेसेन्ट्स एन्ड पर्सन्स निडिङ द हेल्थ सर्भिसेसमा के भन्दाखेरि नर्सेस मस्ट गिभ द कम्पिटेन्ट हेल्थ सर्भिसेस एन्ड द पर्सन सी मस्ट गिभ द क्लिनिकल डिसिजन मेकिङ एट अ टाइम भनेर सो यो कन्डिसनमा के भन्दाखेरि पेसेन्ट्सको ड्रेन भइरहेको छैन डिस्ट्रेसिङमा छ भने किन भइरहेको छ र कसरी म्यानेज गर्ने भनेर चाहिँ त्यो साइन एन्ड सिम्पटम हेरेर इमिडिएट क्लिनिकल डिसिजन मेकिङ गर्नु
Ma'am, I'll just be more specific here. So this incident has happened, order has been given on the round which hasn't been carried out. जुन चाहिँ carry out भएको छैन. So as a duty of the nursing staff who are working there, उनीहरूको हायर अथोरिटिजहरूसँग कसरी अप्रोच गर्ने यो इस्युजलाई कसरी लान भन्ने कुरा मैले स्पेसिफिकली सोध्न खोजेको यसमा चाहिँ
यसमा चाहिँ हामीले अडिट गरेर
एक्ज्याक्ट
अडिट गरेर वाइ इट इज नट ह्यापनिङ एन्ड वाट निड टु डु एन्ड हाउ क्यान वी प्रिभेन्ट सच इन्सिडेन्ट्स इन द फ्युचर.
So fair enough. Ma'am says incident reporting is a must in such cases. So had incident reporting form been filled, I think we could have prevented this incident to some extent. So moving across to Dr. Kalu here. Dr. Kalu, in this case, I mean, yes, there has been no adverse event. The patient is well and fine. There's nothing happened to her, but there has been a complaint registered in your medical council given the distress to the patient from the caregiver side. How does the board approach this issue?
Thank you, Sagat Daju. As you displayed the case, if it is documented clearly that 4 days back there was the order regarding kinking of drain, then this will establish not as a error, this will establish itself as a negligence because it was already diagnosed and it was supposed to be done. If it's something supposed to be done is not done, that will be collaborate to the negligence, intentfully not doing. Council will take the things in that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, council will take things in that way. So now we'll try to find out why it was not done. If whoever was the responsible person, if he or she cannot give any reasonable reasoning for not doing the things, then definitely he or she will be penalized by the council.
So how
No
important
second
is
thought.
documentation in this thing?
It's very important. Now, since it was diagnosed, but the thing was not done, now there should be documentation why things were not done. Maybe there was not availability of person to manipulate it, or maybe there was not availability of radiological guidance, or maybe there was something else. What was the reason for not being done? If the reason is reasonable enough, the person may escape. Otherwise, this will definitely lead to at least some kind of severe punishment, because it was clearly documented that there is a problem ongoing with the patient and there was a plan which was to be done, and it was not done for 4 days.
I mean, this is very dangerous. Now, we saw this as a simple case when I presented, and this is going to negligence and even malpractice at times. So let's move forward. So the theme of our conference here is moving beyond blame to culture of patient safety. So there is one ethical concern here. How do we respond to adverse events? I mean, this is very important. So there is one thing, there is a statement that I have put forth here. Defensive, insecure hospitals regard bad news as threats to their reputation, and they seek to conceal or minimize them. We've seen them multiple times. Open, responsible learning organizations that are committed to safety look on serious adverse events as a symptom of failed symptoms. Ramesh, sir, do you agree to this statement? Yes. So what do you think are the ethical obligation of the individual health provider in such cases?
बल्ल हामी इथिक्सलाई फोकस गऱ्यौँ. यो हाम्रो सेसन नै एथिक्सको हो एक्चुअली, होइन. हुन त अरू कम्पोनेन्टहरू पनि ओभियसली गाँसिन्छ नै. एथिक्समा चाहिँ हाम्रो सिस्टममा हुन त बिहान हामी धेरै कुराहरू भए, क्युआईका कुराहरू भए, अडिटका कुराहरू भए, सबै भए. वाट वी ल्याक इज ethical committee, hospital ethics committee or clinical ethics committee that is missing in our institutions. त्यो कल्चर अलिकति मेरो पर्सनल इन्ट्रेस्टले म एडभोकेट पनि हो, त्यसको एडभोकेसी पनि गरिरहेको छु, तर विच आई हेभ बिन फेलिङ फर लास्ट डिकेड. रिसेन्टली हाम्रो डाक्टर सुभाष कता हुनुहुन्छ, डाक्टर सुभाषले चाहिँ यो हामी टिचिङ हस्पिटलमा सुरु गर्छौँ अब भन्नुभएको छ. त्यो पनि एउटा सोल्युसन हो, किनभने people want to complain about it. Of course, medical council छ, त्यो छ. मेडिकल काउन्सिलको लेभलसम्म आउने भनेको सेकेन्डरी रिफरल केसहरू मात्रै आउनुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई. इच इन्स्टिट्युसन, मेबी कपाल अफ इन्स्टिट्युसन्स इन द एरिया, त्यहाँको लागि चाहिँ एउटा कमिटी हुनसक्छ. भनौँ न एउटा टोलको एउटा हस्पिटलहरू मिलेर पनि गर्न सकिन्छ, र त्यो प्र्याक्टिस छ, संसारभरि नै भइराखेकै प्र्याक्टिस हो. त्यो एउटा कम्पोनेन्ट त्यो भयो. मैले अर्को सेकेन्ड देखेको चाहिँ हाम्रो हेल्थ सिस्टमकै फेलासी हो. बिहान पनि अलिअलि छलफल त भयो के भनेदेखि कस्तो हुनुपर्ने हो. जस्तो एउटा म अघि यही तयारीको क्रममा हेर्दै थिएँ, मेडिकल काउन्सिलको चाहिँ एउटा काम कर्तव्य अधिकार के भन्छ भने चिकित्सा व्यवसाय सुचारू रूपले सञ्चालन गर्न आवश्यक नीति निर्धारण गर्ने. चिकित्सा व्यवसाय एज ए होल मेरो विचारमा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयलाई पनि त्यो अथोरिटी छैन। उसले आफ्नो मन्त्रालय अन्तर्गतका हेर्न सक्छ हैन। सबै इन्क्लुड नहुन पनि सक्छन्। तर चिकित्सा व्यवसाय एज सचको लागि चाहिँ मेडिकल काउन्सिलले पनि त्यसको लिडरसिप लिने हो कि त्यो पनि लङ टर्म सोल्युसन चाहिँ जस्तो रिफरल नेटवर्किङ कसरी हुने के हुने हैन। अहिले त अब के भन्छ भने डाक्टरले बिरामी जाँदैन, बिरामीले चाहिँ डाक्टर जाँच्छ। यदि 5 मिनट हामी राम्रोसँग सुनिदियौँ भनेदेखि त्यसले अनि बिस्तारै झिक्न थाल्छ झोलाबाट कागजहरू, फलाउनले यसो भने उसले यसो भने उसले यसो भने। रिफरल नेटवर्किङ सिस्टम पनि हामी वास्तवमा खर्च अघि बिहानको सेसनमा खर्चको कुरा धेरै उठ्ला भन्ने लागेको थियो, मलाई उठेन समाउ, तर खर्चको कुरा चाहिँ त्यहाँ पनि जोडिन्छ।
Thank you, sir. I mean, one of the ethical obligations, we need to accept our mistakes. We need to apologize. In fact, there are numerous literature where you can see that apologies are not directly related with litigations. I mean, there are evidences. I mean, we live in an evidence-based world, so we need to see all those evidences and decide upon things. So moving ahead, I think this will be my last question here. Another ethical concern, Dr. Kalu, I think you've come across it multiple times in your career in medical council, is taking responsibility for bad health professionals, that all the health professionals who've done something bad during their practice. So there is a statement I put forth there. Physicians or healthcare providers' performance can be dangerously substandard at one time or another during one's career as a result of numerous factors. Do you agree to these statements?
Yeah, we have to agree to this statement. Actually, we have seen numerous of cases come across the council where there are actually substandard practice. But now as this statement goes, depending upon the situation, we have to consider numerous factors. So for example, I would like to put an example over here, as Sunil sir is also here. If someone questions me regarding recording system of Nepal Medicity Hospital compared to Bharatpur Hospital, government hospital in Bharatpur, I would definitely question Medicity more regarding if there is any missing documentation. But while considering Bharatpur Hospital, over there a physician has to go after more than 300 patients within a span of 2 to 3 hours in OPD. So over there, if he misses any recording, definitely council will consider it. We have to be considered over there because that is situational thing. So depending upon the situations, yes, at times there are substandard practices, but provided the situation was favorable, circumstances were not that adverse, but still the physician or healthcare worker could not provide the standard care, then that will definitely lead to some kind of litigation.
Let me move to Roshni ma'am here. Ma'am, so one thing, I mean, everyone knows that one's performance can be substandard at times. We need to identify those times. We need to identify those bad people. So how do you think the professional councils, even in your case, the nursing council needs to address this issue? What can they do to minimize such things?
Okay, thank you. As the health service provider is a teamwork. र टिमवर्कमा चाहिँ सबैको इक्वल हुने हुनुपर्छ र अनि हामीले त्यहाँ क्वालिटी सर्भिस विथ पेसेन्ट सेफ्टी पुर्याउनको लागि हाम्रो पोजिटिभ वर्किङ इन्भाइरोमेन्ट हुनुपर्छ र वर्किङ कल्चर राम्रो हुनुपर्छ। त्यो पोजिटिभ वर्किङ इन्भाइरोमेन्टभित्र ह्युमन रिसोर्स मात्र होइन, त्यहाँ हामीले काम गर्ने फङ्सनल इन्भाइरोमेन्ट पनि हुनुपर्छ। अक्सिजनको प्रपर व्यवस्थापन, त्यहाँको वर्किङ इन्भाइरोमेन्ट, त्यसपछि पेसेन्टहरूसँग डिल गर्नेको टाइमिङ, त्यसपछि वर्कलोड, नर्स पेसेन्ट रेसियो, अनि हाम्रो स्कोप अफ प्र्याक्टिस, त्यसपछि हामीलाई जुन के अरे सर्भिस दिनलाई चाहिने अरू जुन के अरे इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट फ्याक्टर्सहरू चाहिँ अरू फ्याक्टर्सहरू पनि सबै इक्वली असेस हुनुपर्छ, एक नम्बर। दोस्रो, एकचोटिको नलेज लाइफ लङलाई हुँदैन, त्यस कारण चाहिँ उहाँले आफ्नो नलेज एन्ड प्र्याक्टिस अपडेट गरिरहनुपर्छ। त्यसको लागि चाहिँ कन्टिन्यू प्रोफेसनल डेभलपमेन्ट हुनुपर्छ। नेपाल नर्सिङ काउन्सिलले कन्टिन्यू प्रोफेसनल डेभलपमेन्ट इम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्नको लागि गाइडलाइन बनाइसकेको छ, किन म पनि त्यसमा एउटा पर्सन मुभमेन्ट थियो र हामीले 6वटालाई चाहिँ म्यान्डेटोरी, अरू बाँकीलाई चाहिँ अप्सनल गरेर हाम्रो चाहिँ प्रत्येक 6 वर्षमा लाइसेन्स रिन्यू हुन्छ। त्यो 6 वर्षमा चाहिँ मिनिमम 120 क्रेडिट आवर गर्ने भनेर गरेको छौँ। दोस्रो त्यो हो। तेस्रो चाहिँ के भन्दाखेरि हामीले सबै हस्पिटलहरूमा चाहिँ सर्भिस दिनलाई चाहिँ त्यो हस्पिटल चाहिँ मिनिमम सर्भिस स्ट्यान्डर्डको हुनुपर्छ। त्यसमा चाहिँ हामीले सबै क्याटेगोरीको हस्पिटलहरूको मिनिमम सर्भिस स्ट्यान्डर्ड बनाएको छ MSS, हेल्थ पोस्ट लेभलको बेसिक हस्पिटल लेभल आधारभूत अस्पतालले जनस्वास्थ्य सेवा नियमावली 2077 अनुसार अस्पताललाई 4वटा क्याटेगोरी गरेको छ। त्यसमा आधारभूत अस्पताल, प्राथमिक अस्पताल, अनि द्वितीय अस्पताल, सेकेन्डरी हस्पिटल विथ जेनरल सर्भिसेस, सेकेन्डरी हस्पिटल विथ बेसिक स्पेसलाइज सर्भिसेस र टर्सरी हस्पिटल हुनेछ। र त्यसमा चाहिँ 3वटा क्याटेगोरी छ, अर्गनाइजेसन एन्ड म्यानेजमेन्ट जस अन्तर्गत 6वटा सब स्ट्यान्डर्डहरू छ भने, अर्को क्लिनिकल सर्भिसमा चाहिँ अब हस्पिटलको लेभल हुन्छ, क्लिनिकल त हस्पिटल फरक हुन्छ। त्यसमा चाहिँ टर्सरी हस्पिटलमा चाहिँ 14वटा छ भने चाहिँ बेसिक हस्पिटलमा चाहिँ 60वटा छ र सपोर्ट सर्भिस चाहिँ हाम्रो 11देखि 14वटा छ। प्रत्येक एस्पेक्टमा चाहिँ के मिनिमम स्ट्यान्डर्ड हुनुपर्ने, त्यो यदि स्ट्यान्डर्ड भयो भने उहाँले 1 पाउँछ, भएन भने 0 पाउँछ र त्यो 0 पाएको बाद चाहिँ त्यो हस्पिटलले चाहिँ एक्सन प्लान बनाउनुपर्छ र त्यो एक्सन प्लान अनुसार इम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्नलाई चाहिँ कन्डिसनल ग्रान्ट जान्छ स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयकोबाट। सो यसरी चाहिँ हामीले सर्भिस रेडिनेसलाई इम्प्रुभ गर्छ र सर्भिस रेडिनेस सँगसँगै चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ पेसेन्ट सेफ्टी पनि इन्स्योर हुन्छ।
Thank you, ma'am.
एउटा इन्डियन गरेँ। यसमा मेरो कन्सर्न चाहिँ के भन्दाखेरि हामीले पेसेन्ट सेफ्टी भनेको हेल्थ वर्करको एस्पेक्टबाट मात्र नसोचौँ, इन्भाइरोन्मेन्ट र टिम एप्रोचलाई चाहिँ जानुपर्छ।
Well, that's beautifully said there. So with this, I'll like to end my presentation here. So we all know it's not easy to first do no harm, I think, which is a Hippocratic oath. But we as professionals can meet these challenges. No one else with. I mean, who will? And it's a must. So thank you, everyone. If there's any question, we are ready to take it. Yes, sir.
अहिले के देख्यो भने स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयले एकदम राम्रोसँग क्याटेगोराइज गरेर पेपर वर्क त भयङ्कर राम्रो गरेछ।
Yeah.
तर तपाईँको 2टा VNHहरू दिनुभयो, जुन तपाईँको 3rd केस सिनारियो दिनुभयो, त्यसमा गर्दा बिचारा म के देखिरहेको छु भने हाम्रो देशमा अलिकति म छोटकरीमा बोल्छु तर I'll just give you an example. गाली हामी कसलाई गर्छौँ, त्यही बिचारा नर्सलाई गर्छौँ। नर्सलाई गाली गर्छौँ, उसले यो गरेन ऊ गरेन भनेर। 24 घन्टा बस्ने त्यही नर्स हुन्छ, सबभन्दा कम पैसा पाउने त्यही नर्स हुन्छ। पेसेन्टको गाली पनि त्यही नर्सले खान्छ, पेसेन्टको गाली त्यही नर्सले खान्छ, डाक्टरको गाली त्यही नर्सले। It is high time we start empowering our nurses. Please, we must empower our nurses. The day we empower our nurses, patient safety is done.
I think this point should be noted. So I'd
Exactly.
like to end this.
मैले आज
session of-
मेडिसिटीमा बेलुका फोन गर्दाखेरि आइसियूको नर्ससँग कुरा गर्छु, म त्यहाँको हाउस अफिसरसँग कुरा गर्दिनँ। किन मेडिसिटीमा डाक्टर दिप्तेश अर्यालले नर्सलाई एम्पावर गरेर यति नलेजेबल बनाउनु भएको छ। मैले मेरो बिरामीको बारे नर्ससँग सोद्धाखेरि सी गिभ्स मी अ बेटर एन्सर देन माई हाउस अफिसर। आई फिल सेफ विथ दोज नर्सेस। नम्बर 1 हामीले के बुझ्नु पर्यो भने नर्सिङ एम्पावरमेन्टलाई यसमा इन्क्लुड गर्नुहोस् तपाईँहरू। र नर्सिङ एम्पावरमेन्टलाई म्याडमले अघि भनिसक्नुभयो, नर्सिङ काउन्सिलको जब होइन, नर्सेस बहिनीले नर्सिङ एसोसिएसनलाई गुहार्नु पर्यो कि तपाईँहरूको राइट्स, तपाईँहरूको पैसा बढाउने काम नर्सिङ एसोसिएसनले उठाउनु पर्यो। राइट। नम्बर 2, आई टोटली अग्री विथ डक्टर आचार्य कि हामी कहाँ एडभोकेसी अफ पेसेन्ट सेफ्टीको एउटा अफिस हुनुपर्छ। नेपाल मेडिसिटीमा छ बिकज अफ NABH again. We have a patient safety advocate and we have an ethical committee. When I was director for 3 years, we used to have regular meetings, ethical committee. जब तपाईँको एथिकल कमिटीको मिटिङ हुन्छ, जब तपाईँको चाहिँ एथिकल कमिटी हुन्छ, त्यो नर्सले उसले आफ्नो नाम नतोकेर उसले लेख्न सक्थे कि फलाना डाक्टरले मैले भनेको चिज मान्नु भएन, टेर्नु भएन, अनि त्यो नर्सलाई पनि अलिकति एम्पावरमेन्ट हुन्छ। तर दिस हेज टु बी अनोनिमस। बिचारी त्यो एउटा चिज हामीले के बुझ्नुपर्छ भने हाम्रो देशमा 18 वर्षको बच्ची हुन्छ, सोझै 10 क्लासबाट नर्सिङ पढ्न गई, 21 वर्षकी केटी छ, त्यसको हालत के होला, पेसेन्टको अवस्था उसले म्यानेज गर्न सक्छ? म 60 वर्ष लागेको सर्जनलाई पेसेन्ट सिरियस भएपछि म नर्भस हुन्छु भने त्यो 21 वर्षको केटीलाई हामीले सबै चिज छोडेर जान्छौँ र भोलि गडबड गरेपछि त्यसले नि गाली खान्छ। So we have to start changing that.
So I think Sunil sir has made numerous points here, and among one of the points is NABH accreditation here. I'd like to talk about, because as my tenure as director of Karuna Hospital, we've studied a lot about the NABH. We've seen the inherent flaws in NABH regarding patient safety. They are multiple. Even in this conference, we had decided to discuss about those, but due to since this was the first conference, so we decided against it, and maybe probably next year we are going to put the NABG accreditation and the inherent flaws in it regarding patient safety. So with this, I'd like to conclude the session. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, एक मिनट मैले डक्टर सुनिललाई चाहिँ एकदम थ्याङ्क यू यो
Ma'am, we are short of time. I
कन्फरेन्सबाट
think
होइन,
we'll do it on the floor or
just
at
the
the lunch time.
resolution, आजको कन्फरेन्सबाट एउटै रिजोल्युसन हामीले एड गरौँ जस्ट इम्पावर आवर नर्सेस फर पेसेन्ट सेफ्टी
Yeah, thank you.
empower in terms of the motivations and the remuneration as per the government norms.
Also, how we empower. Just saying is
By
not
motivation.
enough.
By motivational package as well as remuneration
This,
as per the government.
this demands real depth, in-depth discussion, maybe.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ramesh sir. Thank you, Roshni ma'am. Thank you, Mohan sir. And thank you, Kalu. I mean, it's been wonderful, Kalu, to have you here.
Thank you all the panelists, speaker, and moderator for such insightful discussion. We are under our first session, Leadership and Policy in Patient Safety. Before running up to next topic, I'm sure you people want to have some refreshment. So let's take a 30 minutes break for lunch. As we are short of time, requesting for a punctual return after 30 minutes. Please be punctual after 30 minutes.